Okay, how's it going, guys? So, this is attempt number 3.
Well, technically 2, okay?
Attempt number 2.5 of recording this video. So we're taking a look at Cody's deck, Saber Shirou, and now Rin. So this is like an upgraded version of the Saber Shirou deck that we uploaded back in like April. And so this is just a preliminary build. This hasn't been played in tournament, so we're going to try this out on tomorrow, which is Sunday. But this is the build that Cody's going to be trying out. It has stuff from the new UBW2 set. So if you're playing Japanese, you can try this out. And if you're playing English, well, it sucks to be you. You can wait for these new cards to come out. Because there's some pretty cool stuff in here. Actually, for the most part, it's a lot of old stuff. But anyways, so let's just go ahead and take a look at the deck. Cody's buying the camera, and I'm going to be doing the deck profile instead of him. Because he's bitch.
Dude, please.
Okay, so, level zeros. So we have 18 level zeros. I'm going to start right here. So first we have Heroic Saber. When she attacks, if you have another master or servant on the field, she gets 1500 until the end of the turn. So since everything in this deck is master or servant, as long as you have anything else on the field when she attacks, she becomes a 4K. And she's also important for the resonance later on in the deck. So I'm running for that reason. I'm running 3 copies of this Rin. So if you have 1 or less other characters on the stage, she becomes a 15, or she gets plus 15, so she becomes a 4K. So just fat card. 3 copies of the Rin Suicider. We don't really use the second effect in this deck. It's a level 0 Suicider, and the second ability is you can rest the Suicider to choose an archer, and until the end of the turn, that archer gets 1500. But if the character across from the archer is higher level than the archer can't attack. So we don't really use that ability. But it's a level 0 Suicider, so that's what's important. 2 copies of this Shirou. When it comes into play, you mill the top card of your deck, and if it's a climax, then he has to go to stock. But if it's not a climax, then he gets plus 1500 until the end of the turn, so he becomes a 4/5 beater. So sometimes you need extra stock, and you hope for that, but most of the time he's just a beater during the early game. We have 3 copies of the Avenger Shirou.
Avenger.
So he gives Clock Encore to all masters except for himself. So any Shirou or any Rin, you can give Clock Encore to. So Clock Encore, level 0 Suiciders, it's cool. Clock Encore 004Ks, also cool. Just having Clock Encore on anything at level 0, very good. You can accelerate yourself to level 1. His other ability is on play you can pay 2 to search for this. I don't think I've ever seen Cody use that, like, ever.
I don't think I have either.
Usually it's just like play this turn 1 and then
Yeah.
it just sits there. And the last card for level 0 is this Saber. So her first effect is your character in the front row center slot gets hexproof, so it can't be targeted by stuff like wind triggers or anti-damage counters, things like that. And her other ability is arguably the more important one. You can pay 1, rest her, and clock the top card of your deck, and you get to search your deck for any Saber or Shirou. And it can be any level, so you can grab your Climax combo for the level 1, you can grab your finishers for level 3, you can grab a counter if you want to mill your deck when your opponent is trying to attack you, or whatever. Just any Saber or Shirou, you can grab this if you need to for the Clock Encores. So for level 0, we got like those 6 which are for utility. These are for Suiciders, and these are our beaters and big cards. So 18 level 0s in total. And now moving on to the level 1s. First we have 4 copies of this Saber's Master Shirou. So he has a Climax combo with the Fire Climax. On attack, you can pay 1 stock, and he gets 2000 power until the end of the turn. So that combined with the Climax brings him up to 8k. And if he reverses a battle opponent, you get to search your deck for a Master or a Servant, right?
Yeah.
So you can search for basically any character in the deck. It's a pretty decent Climax combo. You are using stock, but it's really not a problem with this deck, which you will see why in a bit. You can afford to pay a lot of stock during their like early to mid game because you will have enough stock later to play your finishers. But for now, yeah. So for that, 4 of this Saber. So this is a Clock Encore Saber from UBW1. And apart from Clock Encore, her other ability is Resonance with Heroic Saber. At the start of your climax phase, you can reveal this Saber in your hand, and this gets +1 soul. So this can attack for 2 soul. If you're attacking into empty slots, it's 3 soul. If you have a climax, then that's another one. If it's a +2 soul, that's another 2. So I mean, you know, you're gonna be doing a lot of damage.
Yep.
This card is literally just here to do damage, and this deck is just very aggressive. You want to be dealing as much damage as possible, as fast as possible, and cards like this and this allow you to just maintain your field and maintain card efficiency. So that's overall the goal of the deck. So we've got 4 of each of those. 1 of this Saber. Cody says he's planning to bring this up to maybe 2 copies.
Yep.
So it's an oversized Taige. For every other Saber, Shirou, or Rin on your field, this gets +500. So if you have a full board, then this is going to be at 7k. And the downside of the card is that when this card is reversed in battle, your opponent may choose a character in your waiting room and put it on top of your deck. So
Is it a character or anything?
it has to be a character.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be a character. So they can't troll and like put a climax on top of your deck. During the late stages of the game, you really don't want to keep this out on the board because your opponent can attack over it and then take a character from your waiting room, put it on top of your deck, and that's more guaranteed damage that they can get on you. So if possible, if your opponent's field is full of big stuff, just kill it yourself. And that way, your opponent, if they put a card on top of your deck, it'll just be your trigger as opposed to more guaranteed damage. So. But for now, just 1 of this. Let's see. So we got a few more level 1s. 2 copies of the 1/1 Rin from UBW2. When it comes into play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's not a Master or Servant, then you have to put the top card into Clock. The only missed targets for this effect are the climaxes, since we don't run any events. So most of the time, this will be okay. And the other effect is, as long as you have a weapon character on your stage, she becomes an 8k. So anything Saber or Shirou is weapon. Probably the most obvious choices are these 2. Giving an 8k Clock Encore is really cool. Like, come on, 1/1 8k Clock Encore, that's broken. And this one, let's say you have this Rin in the center slot, then it keeps her safe from stuff like wind triggers. And yeah, that's basically it. It's a beater. That's what's important. And finally, for the level 1s, we have 2 of the Shirou counter. This is more for its utility than its power. It only gives 1500 power on the backup, but it has the Leaf counter effect. When you use the backup, you reveal the top card of your deck. And if it's a Master or Servant, you add it to your hand and you pitch a card from your hand. So this can be used to get closer to your next climax. And yeah, that's basically it. Just a utility counter. So level 1 game, 13 cards. And now we have Cody's favorite part of the deck.
Best
The
card
level 2s.
entire deck.
3 copies of this UBW2 Rin. This is the only level 2 that we run in this deck. The first effect is it's a global 500 to Sabers and Shirous. And the other effect is the reason Cody likes this card. You can rest this to take a Saber or Shirou from your waiting room and put it into stock. So this card basically pays for itself the moment it comes into play. You pay 1 stock, and then you can just rest 2, and then you get that stock right back. And the best part is that you know it's clean, because you're taking Sabers and Shirous from your waiting room, and that's what you're putting into your stock. So the moment these come out, they pay for themselves, but for every turn they stay on the field, you're just going to be generating more and more and more stock. So that's why it's okay to like use your stock liberally during the early game, as long as you have enough stock to bring these out later, so that you can generate more and more stock as you get closer to level 3. Yeah, 3 of those. Oh. Does not affect Rins or Archers, right, Cody?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, Cody?
Yeah, of course, of course. It says
Yeah.
so.
It says
Yeah.
Saber and Shirou.
Yeah.
Part of the cards.
Yeah.
Freaking get their translations wrong, right? Okay, so the level 3s, we have 8. So first we're running 4 of the Musashi Sabers. I'm sure everybody knows what this card does right now. By now, it's Musashi effect, and it gets 500 for every other Master or Servant on the field. So this card really doesn't need very much explanation. The other level 3 is the original Ren and Archer from Fates Tonight. How much did these cost you?
I bought the set for 36.
And what rarity is this?
Uncommon.
Oh yeah, it's uncommon.
$8 uncommon.
All right. So anyways, so this card has 3 effects. On play, heal. Climax combo with +2 soul. When this card attacks, burn for 1. It's free. And the last effect, which we don't really use very much, is you can discard a weapon character to give this card 2,000 until the end of the turn. So usually we don't need that because hopefully they're dead. But that's basically how it goes, right? Usually you just hope that they die. This deck's level 3 game is very aggressive. You have free burn climax combo. You have the Musashi burn as well if they cancel attacks. And the +2 soul synergizes very well with the Musashi. You can swing for 4, or even you can side for 1 over their level 3, which is really funny. And you can do the same thing here. You can side burn for 1 and then side attack for 1. So there's a lot of really creative ways to use the +2 soul in this deck. Another card that works really well with the +2 soul, like I said earlier, is the 1/1 Saber. Since Resonance is optional, and if you have this in your hand, you can decide whether or not you want this to be 1 soul or 2 soul. And then from there, you can play around with the +2 soul climax for some very creative side attacks. But yeah, so that basically wraps up the deck. Alright, so we already know that this is your favorite card in the deck.
That is my favorite card.
Are there any cards in this deck that you think are weaker than the rest, or just aren't as good?
I would say, let's see, where... I would say this card.
Okay.
Yeah, because, it's 7k, that's cool, but, the downside is kind of bad early on.
Alright, but you said you're gonna try and pick up a second one and test it out, so...
I'll test it out.
So what's the weakest thing about the deck, or what's the deck's weakness?
The power is kind of low because you only run 2 backups, and they're 1/5 for 1 stock. And so generally, during your opponent's turn, your cards aren't that strong compared to whatever climax combo they do.
Usually your stuff's usually just gonna...
Yeah, my stuff usually dies, and then I clock encore them.
Okay. So we talked about this card on another take. This combo. You said that not drawing this combo is a huge problem.
Yes. Most of the times I would search this card. There's so many ways to search it. Using this Saber or this Shirou. You can search this, but the climax. If I don't draw the climax, then I can't plus from this Shirou.
And you also kind of can't kill stuff either.
And I can't kill stuff either.
So
that's the downside.
Yeah. Not being able to draw this, you not only lose on your 8k beat. Well, I mean, this is 8k beater,
That's 8K,
but you lose out on that 8k beater, and you lose your ability to plus cards. So pretty much your only form of field advantage at that point is your clock encore.
Yeah.
Which can hurt you a lot. So a couple cards that aren't being run in this deck. Let's start with the 3/2 Saber, actually. I didn't bring this up before, but so we're running 4 level 3s in this deck, but there's another level 3 that came out in the new set, in UBW2, the 3/2 Saber. So if you have 5 or less cards in deck, you can play it at level 2. When you play it, you heal, and it gets 500 power for every other Master or Servant, I think. No, Saber, Shirou, Rin, I think?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It gets 500 for every other Saber, Shirou, Rin. So what's your thoughts on that card?
It's a good card, but not for this deck. Because this deck is, super aggressive, burn heavy.
And so you just want to,
yeah, late game. Just
hit
beat them.
Okay, let's see what else is there. We also have brainstorms. This deck does not have any brainstorms, so how do you get out of like being like 6 climaxes out, like with like half your deck left?
Well, I don't.
So it's basically you hit them hard or you get hit hard, I guess.
Well, okay. So you're suggesting before
Yeah. So we have 2 options of brainstorms. Like realistically, there's 2 options of brainstorms for this deck. We have the Saber that came out in UBW2. That one's a double R, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the Rin from UBW1, which is a spammable brainstorm. So let's talk about the Shirou for a sec. So why or why not the Shirou?
It's because he's tapped to brainstorm, and most of the time, like I won't have enough like cards to like be able to tap. Like my back row are usually gonna be this Saber with the Avenger or the Shiro Clock Encore, and like this would usually like search plus me, right? And this is just back there, so like I would normally like tap this and get what I want. And then the moment I hit level 2, I would just like move this up to play the 2/1 Rin.
And again, you have to tap this as well.
Yeah,
so
I'll tap that.
You can't exactly brainstorm.
So like, there's no real need to brainstorm when I like generate so much plussing.
All right, so then
with that card.
In that case, let's talk about the Rin brainstorm then, because that one is a salvage discard, and you don't have to arrest anything.
Yes.
So. Is that a possibility for this deck?
That is a possibility, and I am more likely than not going to run it.
All right. What do you think? Like 1, 2 copies?
I think 2 copies.
And what would be the card to take out?
Okay, so for sure 1 Suicider.
I think the Suicider.
And second card, it's either gonna be this Shiro or it's either gonna be this, or one of these 3. I don't know which, but one of those. What do you think?
I think honestly, I think the Suicider isn't as necessary in this build because you have a lot of level 0 beaters. So like you have this one is going to be attacking for 4k. This is going to be 4/5 on the turn it comes into play, assuming it survives. Not milling a climax. And this one's 4k, assuming your field is pretty small. So I think the Suicider coming out for Rin Brainstormer. I don't know about taking out 2,
but for sure 1.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
I would say 1. Taking out 1 is fine.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically it. There's our deck profile for Rin Saber Shirou. I know a lot of people have been asking for Rin Archer, and this isn't Rin Archer, but this is what's possible now with the new set. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Peshcats, and I'm here with Cody, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.